and you are. We are Citizen Outbreak. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Citizen Outbreak. How are you, Matthew, today?
Doing great, Rudy. How you doing?
I'm freezing my balls off.
It's cold. It's gonna get colder.
I know. It's freezing. I hate the cold. My whole body's starting to hurt.
I mean, it's that real cold. It's that January fuck off cold, you know?
Yeah, you're walking down the street. It's like it hits you.
Yeah, the streets are cracked. They're like white. Just not. The people have taken the Christmas lights down now.
Yeah, the Christmas is coming down. It's over. We're approaching the end of January really quickly.
It's funny because it got earlier in the week it was like 50 or something.
Yeah,
and it was it's funny the associations. I was already like, oh wow, we're done, and then now I think it's supposed to snow. I think it's supposed to snow this weekend too.
on Sunday, 6 inches. Yeah, exactly.
You see what's going on in Russia? I sent you that.
Yeah, they had a ton of snow.
The kids jumping off of the top of the buildings and everything. Amazing.
You know the difference between when it snows in Russia and when it snows here?
What?
The people in Russia clean the here. The people wait for somebody else to clean.
You know what I like? When the snow in the city accumulates, and it's like a few days after, and you get to the curb of the cross street, and it's like there's this one little narrow. So now you're waiting in line for other people to cross through. It's terrible.
And then afterwards, it becomes this mess, like a puddle.
It's a total mess. No, yeah, and then you're jumping over, and inevitably you slip. It's terrible.
It happens every year. Every year.
We'll see. I mean, I like the snow. I hope it snows
every year. All right. We got a lot of topics, and I actually had to get rid of some, but I want to jump into the biggest topic that we have going on right now. I mean, this weekend was a whirlwind for what's going on. I mean, this Greenland thing really took a turn. I mean, you got Trump.
Love it.
We talked about Greenland last week, but now it's like escalated. It's escalated because now Europe is getting involved, and we had this thing where NATO and Europe, now they're like threatening the United States and threatening Trump.
It's ridiculous.
And can you explain to me, and I've been asking people this, and I think we mentioned it last week. No, what is NATO? Can you explain to me what NATO is?
Well, I think
I know what it is. I want you to.
No, but I think what's really interesting.
What is NATO?
What's exciting about Greenland to me is, we're watching right now in real time, a system breakdown, right? NATO was designed to be a collective defensive framework to manage geopolitical competition in a bipolar world. You had one adversary, which was Russia, and pretty much the rest of the West was going to have this collective agreement to manage the chessboard from that vantage point. That world no longer exists, right? And we've had this on-running obligation to NATO, despite that NATO's charter has never really been materially upgraded or updated to adapt to the chessboard that now is out there. And, we have obligations. I mean, Trump was over in Germany in 2016. When he first brought this up, it received the same reaction that we're seeing now with Greenland, but people laughed at him when he's like, wait a second, you guys don't chip in, and you're getting all of your resources from the big bad, boogeyman that you want us to keep chipping in to protect you from. Who's your gas man?
Real quick. NATO is to protect against the Middle East?
No, it's to protect
Okay, hold on. It's to protect against China?
Well, no, China's benefited from NATO.
It's to protect against
Russia.
Africa?
The Soviet Union.
It's to protect against Russia.
Well, the Soviet Union.
And who does
It was
Who is Russia really attacking? besides Ukraine.
But that's the thing. It's not. It was designed to defend against the Soviet Union. Soviet Union fell. Russia, as it is today, is not the Soviet Union, and it's like NATO is still hasn't been updated. So it's like we meet every week as it, huh?
All those times that Putin asked Bill Clinton, George W., all these people to join NATO when they were allies, and they always said no, no, no. They still kept NATO around to protect against.
Well, it's worse than that. It's worse than that, right? I mean, when Trump was talking about NATO in 2016, we get these things, and it's not just with geopolitics, politics. You look at COVID, right? They had a system, and they refused to adapt to the narrative, to the real-time developments on the ground. So we had to go through a few years. If within a few weeks they said, wait a second, data is actually different, we would have had a very different trajectory, but people get stuck. So we've been stuck, right? There's a reason why Europe is stuck. Europe is, what we've learned, right, through Ukraine, is Europe is externally dependent on Putin right now for energy. They're externally dependent on us for defense, and because they can't print, right? And they're dependent on, like, they've moved over now to, like, this theater of war as the excuse to keep on dragging out for debt and everything, because they can't just print like we can, right? So Europe is, by GDP, they're still economically big, but they're very constrained with how the world is moved today. So it makes sense. It's in their interest to say, no, let's NATO. And in the West, you still have the same people saying, NATO, Trump is disruptive. You can't do this. If you look at it through another lens, the USSR doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't make sense. And, the obligation that we have, the money that we keep sending over, the resources, that's being diverted away from places that are more pressing, right? Like, NATO's not serving our interests in Venezuela, where China has moved unrestricted by stuff like NATO, has moved into our hemisphere and started to establish critical infrastructure, energy dependency, Venezuela, blah, 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 blah. So, you've got one side that's looking at this like, whoa, we got to adjust. And yet the other one saying, what are you talking about? This is NATO, this is our allies, the map is not the terrain. And it's like you have these two narratives, and Greenland, it's even more ridiculous. 75 years ago, we have a permanent military base in Greenland. Okay. Nothing happens in Greenland without our say so. And Denmark, there's no interpretation of this where we haven't controlled Greenland for the past 75 years, and where we're not going to control it for the next 75. Well, it depends, right? Because if Trump's side here loses out and we stay stuck to this idiotic, let's say legacy, outdated, right? Framework where we just continue saying, okay, we're just going to focus on the theaters where NATO is. You'll have developments, so this is going to shape the next kind of, what comes next. It's interesting. But it's like, it's tough because you just, it's tough getting people to be accessible to kind of developments on the ground, right? They're loyal to this thing, our allies.
So real quick, I'm just going to read this to you, okay? And for the people that don't know, because a lot of people, they think they know, but they don't know. So I'm just going to read it to you. NATO was formed on April 4th, 1949, with the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty by 12 North American and Western European nations to provide collective security against the Soviet Union's growing threat and spread of communism after World War II, establishing a mutual defense pact where an attack on one member is considered an attack on all.
Right.
Soviet threat. Western leaders were concerned about the Soviet Union consolidating control in Eastern Europe and potentially spreading communism further.
Right.
The alliance aimed to deter Soviet aggression and maintain peace, freedom, and stability in the transatlantic area. Collective Defense Article 5. The core principle, Article 5, ensures that an attack against any member is treated as an attack against all, requiring collective response, including military force if possible.
Right.
It permanently tied the security of North America and Europe together, creating a strong political and military bond.
Right.
The founding members: United States, Canada, United Kingdom, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Italy, Portugal, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Matthew, riddle me this, Batman. If Greenland is a security threat, not security, but it helps us have security against threats such as Russia, which doesn't have communism anymore, and against another power that does have communism, the CCP, China. Isn't China communist?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we need Greenland to protect not only the United States and Canada, but also Europe. We discussed it last time.
Yeah, but we already have it.
Where's Greenland strategically placed?
No, we already have it, though.
I understand that we have it. I understand. I'm trying to say, all the noise that's going on that Trump is like, well, I'm taking it. And people are like, oh, he's going to send in the military. He's not sending in the military.
The military's there.
The military, he's not doing a military.
We have Greenland is effectually just a military base for us.
I understand, but he's not doing military action.
Look,
He's not taking it over.
Macron, Keir Starmer, that whole group, they understand, right? I mean, Trump has moved, he's shifted away from cooperation, the institutional cooperation for its own sake. And he's moving to, hemispheric control, right? Where we can defend, where the threats are. China, by the way, as part of NATO, okay, we started building China's economy as a deterrent against the USSR. And similar to what's going on now, when the USSR fell, nobody sat back and said, hold on a second, what should we do now about China? We just kept moving our manufacturing over there so that for the economic interest. Nobody said, what about the geopolitical consequences? And that is the result of similar type, fealty to a system that no longer mapped to, current realities. I mean, it's this is where things move, and we'll see. Hopefully Trump just moves ahead here.
Well, again, we started with it's escalating because
there's
now
nothing escalating. There's nothing escalating. There's nothing
Europe
escalating.
said, we're sending troops.
They're not. It's
They
bullshit.
sent a couple troops.
This is semantics. Okay, Europe
Trump said, in response, I'm going to put tariffs 10% starting in February against 8 of the nations, and more over the summer. Another 25% more.
Yeah. Look, Europe's in trouble. Europe's in a lot of trouble. They are, they can't. They're reactive. Okay. The U.S. Trump is saying, we've got to go where our interests are best served, and we're going to go up and down and make sure that we're in control of our hemisphere because China's moving around. China's not restricted.
This is now. It seems like Canada. Mark Carney's making deals with China.
It's okay.
He's coming out there from Canada saying, well, you know what? China is more of our friend. The U.S. We're going to decouple from the U.S. You got Macron now inviting China to make investments into France. We saw what happened when China made investments in Italy, how bad that turned out. The UK
Look,
inviting China.
Look,
You had Ursula van der Leyen come out and say that she wants to get away from U.S. dependence.
Right. Well, Europe needs the external input. Right. They don't, without U.S. security reliances, or if it turns to China or energy from Russia right now or other places, their industry is vulnerable. Everything they need, they need us right now. And the reality is we've controlled Greenland for this whole time. We still control it today. Every single defensive strategy that we have, the trade, I mean, it's within our defensive architecture. It's, this is really semantics.
Well, it is, but it's still Denmark's land.
I mean, you can call them like custodians if you want, but it's not their land.
Matthew, how much do you think Denmark spends a year
In Greenland? What, you have that figure?
Yeah.
Tell me.
$800 million a year.
Okay.
You know where all that money goes?
Where?
Mostly it goes to paying the people there, because all of them are government employees, essentially. You think that Denmark has $800 million a year to just give for no reason? What are they getting out of Greenland? Fish?
I mean, look, this whole thing to me is like, it's semantics.
So
without the U.S., there is no NATO.
you ever have a friend that like, no matter what, you tell them that car is black. No, that car is red. The sky is blue. No, the sky is green.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, look, this happens wherever they're, in our, I mean, you look at what happened during COVID. You look,
Trump wasn't our president and we had Kamala Harris, and I know she's not smart enough to be like, okay, we need Greenland. But if she was half a brain and she said, hey, I want Greenland, I think Greenland needs to be part of the United States, or we just need it for security reasons and, whatever. Forget about the rare earths, because I'm going to get to that after. But Europe wouldn't even flinch. They'd be like, you know what? That's a good idea, because you're you're our ally in quote unquote NATO, and we need it for defense because you're able to defend us from Russia easier there, from China easier there. Right? So because it's Trump, no, Macron, he hates Trump.
no, but
And he weasels his way into every conversation that Trump is saying. Even now, I don't think I'm going to talk to him when he comes to Davos. And then Trump releases the text messages, inviting him to
but
Paris.
he understands. I mean, Europe is really in bad shape. They understand what Trump's doing. He's walking away.
I don't
from,
think I think Trump's playing them.
Well, look, Trump has been saying since 2016 that NATO doesn't serve our interests, right? He's been saying that for a long time. And he started by saying you guys got to chip in a lot more.
He got them to chip in more, and he got them to chip in last year.
Right. But if you're Trump and you're sitting here and we're talking about Ukraine and by the way, Europe has no interest. There's an interpretation here. You could say Europe wants that to continue going on because it gives something that they can print money for, they can borrow more money for, they can print. Okay, they have real economic trouble in Europe, and they can't print like we can. So they understand. So they're clinging to this old dynamic, and they see Trump saying, first he's saying you got to click in. Trump's over there, and now he's looking down at Venezuela, where China's, developing the ports, developing all the telecom, developing, energy dependencies, the banking relationships. South America, China was able to move in there. He still looks at what happened in Africa. China's moving around the globe. The world is no longer, set up around just clear geographical lines. And it's because of the mistake, China exists as it does today because they just continued. We opened up relations with China as a way to deter the Soviet Union. We're going to build up China. USSR fell, and we're like, shit, we like the cheap labor, we like the cheap manufacturing, just keep going. NATO didn't get together and say, well, hold on. The chessboard looks different now. Maybe we should, think about some geopolitical. They didn't do that. So now China's big, and China doesn't have this bullshit that they're being weighed down by. So they're moving around. And it's supply chains and it's shit like that really is the defensible ground. So Europe sees it, and they can't do anything but react. They don't have a printing press. They don't have their own energy sources. We blew up their Nord Stream. So Europe's in trouble, and they're freaking out because Trump's walking away from them. He's not saying what it is, but what he's really doing is he's saying this NATO shit doesn't really work for us anymore.
Well, doesn't work for us because we're providing the most amount of money that any of the NATO countries are providing, and NATO doesn't really do anything for us.
It's just
in the United States.
There's just not an interpretation. I mean, China is.
Has anybody sent us money ever?
No, that's the whole point. Our interests are
And
not
we're
being
constantly giving
served
people
by this collective.
we're building bases in other countries and securing them and
No.
helping them. It doesn't work. But let me tell you what I think.
We subsidize the entire thing.
Let me tell you my thoughts, what I think is going to go on.
Hmm.
Trump is not doing anything. I know you're saying we have military there, but as far as sending military to
He's not gonna. No,
he's not doing that. Although the media is saying that, and Europe is coming out and saying that, and they're like saying we're sending troops. They know he's not doing that. And by Constitution, he's not allowed to do that. He can't do that.
this is all bullshit. They're all bullshit.
Right.
Nobody.
So here's what I think he's trying to do. Number one, we already spoke about it. They can't keep affording 800 million. Denmark can't afford 800 million to pay.
There's only 60,000 fucking people on Greenland.
So here's what I think is going on. I think that Trump sees an opportunity where he wants more of Greenland. We already have our base there. We have troops there. But he wants Europe to come and help. When I mean help, I don't mean come to Greenland and help. I mean pony up more money and give us money to go after the rare earths. I think he realized, you know what, these rare earths, to dig them up costs a lot of money just to get them out of there, dig them and get them out of there. And it might even cost more than what they're worth. But if you have Europe come in and pony up some money, then it becomes a little bit cheaper for us to do that. Give us money. We'll build more bases. We'll get the rare earths. We get China out of there. And everybody's happy. So I think he's just negotiating something like, hey, okay, let's just all do this together and this will benefit all of us. And he's just, projecting fear onto them right now. Like, hey, we're going to take Greenland and there's nothing you could do about it.
Well, I think the conversation is that, he's now levied the tariffs. He's getting it. He's going to come out. NATO is subsidized by the U.S. They rely on us for defense. They rely on us for, they can't, Europe can't, they're going to have to concede what's already understood is that we functionally control Greenland. And, real, in terms of ownership, just in rhetoric question, that the media can run with, and it's in Europe's interest to keep this going. But this is to your question. This is people not. It's people not understanding what's going on, and you have
the only thing that I don't like about all this chatter is there's a couple things that I don't like about this whole method that he's doing it. Number one, you saw today the stock market. Bitcoin, the bonds, nobody likes this talk. Everything tanked today. Everything tanked. Stock market tanked, Bitcoin tanked, bonds rose, which means money's more expensive. Denmark decided they're going to pull out of U.S. treasuries. There's other people pulling out of U.S. treasuries. So I don't like that fact. I don't like that Europe is turning around and saying, okay, we're going to cozy up to China. If that's all talk or if they're really doing that, I don't like that. And I don't like this for the midterms because you got all the stuff that's going on in Minnesota with ICE. You got all the media speaking about all these false things going on in Minnesota with ICE. And then you got the stock market crashing because people look at their pocketbooks. You got Trump threatening more tariffs. Nobody likes that because then things here get more expensive. And then you have people from Europe and other countries not wanting to invest in the U.S. That, to me, that's a problem. That's a problem. Now, we've seen this in the past, last April, where Trump said one thing and then all of a sudden turns around and becomes, something completely different. Could this be another one of those instances like what we had last April? I don't know, because everything that I'm hearing, and all day I was listening to people from Davos, Switzerland, talking about negative things about Trump and the U.S. and the economy and the U.S. economy. But then again, I don't know. The U.S. has all the tech, AI, the future. What does France have? Wine?
Well,
Cheese?
no. Look, everything, first of all, their entire defense, the spine of their entire defense is us. Okay, when you talk about the industrial base, they can't just move away to China. I mean, this is posturing and this is negotiating, talking about China. You know, the media will seize on that. The media also plays up China. Look, the whole narrative about China is very similar to what's going on right now in the sense that it's a narrative that a system that was created because a system didn't adapt to trends on the ground. We didn't need to let China just grow into what it is. We wanted the cheap manufacturing, and nobody thought what that meant. You know, this is negotiation right now. You know, Trump is saying to them, "This is happening. We're focusing. We have to put our resources elsewhere. Europe has to figure out how it's gonna get to a position where the U.S. will stay with them. They can't move to China on certain things. On a lot of things, they can't move to China. I mean, you look at the capital markets, the dollar. I mean, you know, the energy
China
and security.
flooded the car market in Europe and tanked all their car makers with cheap Chinese cars.
Europe doesn't have autonomy right now. Everything that they have is is within our stack, whether it's industrial, IP, supply chains. I mean, they're really linked and dependent upon us in a lot of ways. And it's nonsense. They can't just get up and move to China. I mean, so they can make those threats, and people don't read below the headlines, and they can say they're going to go to China. I mean, Canada flying over to China. We're going to go with you. I mean, it's all the way on the other side of the world. I mean, it's a joke. So, I think, like I said, I think this really is about what's really happening here and not being called it. Like, Trump's not showing up to the microphone and explaining, like, look, NATO is out of date. We got to redo and focus where, he could show up and say, look, China's down there in South America. It's doing all this stuff. And we just can't keep bleeding money into theaters that are less pressing than where China's able to move freely. So it's a negotiation. He'll end up being something where he got Greenland, in my prediction.
Let me read you a quote from Vladimir Putin today. You'll see it will happen quickly. Soon they will all stand at the feet of the master. You will gently wag their tails.
Yeah,
everything
he knows.
Will fall into place.
Yeah, he knows. By the way, that's so in the world that's happening. You have Russia and you have China, and then you have you have the U.S. and you have China and you have Russia. That's that can peak up and act as a hinge. It's got the resources and it can peak up opportunistically, and that's what it's doing here now. It understands the trap that Europe is in. So this is the world.
Do you think that Trump?
And by the way, it's amazing. Sorry, Rudy, but it's really an amazing thing because so much is at stake, and what Trump is doing, in my opinion, is really bold. On you had the Cold War, you moved out of that. This is like a moment where and it's just funny because it's not in the terms that I think it's pretty obvious what it is, which is that U.S. basically saying we got to recut NATO.
Right. But do you
think that's what's going to happen?
Do you think that Trump strategically started saying all this, ramped up the Greenland talk, knowing that he's going to Davos for the World Economic Forum?
I think that he's known how he's looking at the map for a while. I mean, in 2016, he was talking about a few things. He was talking about why are we wasting our time going after Russia and China? Kissinger, you can't take on two superpowers at once. He got in a lot of trouble for that. They said that he was a Russian spy, and then he said, "No, Trump."
Yeah, right.
Trump, when he was running for president, he was saying, "Why are we picking a fight with Russia? China's the bigger threat. We shouldn't take them both on." Well, when he said that, they came up with this Russia, spy thing. But I think, he went around and he was talking about NATO, and it was described as this really reckless disruption against the diplomatic norms. And that holds only if you take for granted that we need NATO to stay exactly as it was designed in 1949. But the world is very different than it was in 1949, and the charter hasn't been updated. You know, it's so we're not fighting the U.S. We're not today. We subsidize a group because they can't rely on us. And meanwhile, you got China running around, and Trump is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's pretty amazing. Like, it's not being discussed as what it is. But I think, like I said, my prediction is you'll see some big, and he's got to fight, because the propaganda at home, whether it's intentional or not, people get sunk into old conventional thinking, right? You can't move out of just you look at COVID as the most people can't think beyond what they're conditioned or to believe is gospel.
So speaking of Davos and the World Economic Forum that's going on right now, there's a lot of press there, and there's a lot of world leaders speaking, because
What's his name is dead, right?
Who's dead?
The guy that dressed like the Star Trek?
No, he's still alive.
I thought he died.
No, you're talking about.
He dressed like a Klingon.
No, he's still there. He's not the head of it, because they were investigating him for using funds, because he was using the money for the jet and everything. So they removed him, and now who's the
Klaus? Was it Klaus?
Yeah,
something
Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab. Where is that guy?
Larry Fink is now running it. BlackRock.
He should start dressing like Star Trek.
I think he might. But your friend,
who's my friend?
Who thinks he's a world
Last
leader,
week, my friend was George. Who's my friend now?
Your friend, Governor of California, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
In Davos, and he's speaking. And hold on, here's a clip of him speaking.
Yeah, you really?
About the messages from the White House around Greenland this week.
Yeah, time to fuck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit. It's time to stand tall and firm, have a backbone. It's seen this in the United States, the supine Congress playing both sides, say one thing on a text or a tweet and another publicly. It's time to have principles. It's time to stand tall.
Does that mean responding with
to stand united?
His voice changed,
So when you say standing
collectively, I can't take this complicity.
Can't take it.
Over. I should have brought a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean, handing out crowns and this is pathetic. Nobel Prizes, they are being given away. I mean, it's just pathetic. And I hope people understand how pathetic they look.
They're dumb.
I mean, at least from an American perspective, it's embarrassing.
So what should
you should decide. The Europeans should decide for themselves what to do. But one thing
they can't
do is what they've been doing.
Oh, the one thing they can't do is the thing that they've been doing. He's really a dummy. I'd rather put George Floyd in charge of California. T-Rex. Trump's going to come out with a T-Rex MAGA thing.
So a couple of things from that, Matthew. One, Newsom's telling Europe how to behave. Okay?
Nobody's listening.
Okay, nobody gives a shit what Newsom says. Number two, this is your president.
Whose?
Okay? This is Newsom's president. He's an American first.
Uh-huh.
Okay? If we went to war right now, Gavin Newsom would be the first person to jump on China's side. Okay?
He jumped on something.
Also, he's telling them that they need to get on their knees and what, suck some cock? Is that what he's saying?
He's talking about sucking cock. He's talking about sucking cock.
Yeah. I mean,
fellatio.
First of all, what's this guy doing in Davos, number
sucking
one?
Cock, probably.
Probably. And to say that to world leaders, they're playing like a fiddle. And not only that, but he's also admitting that that Donald Trump is a T-Rex and he will devour you. That means that he sees Donald Trump as this great almighty T-Rex. So what does that make Gavin Newsom?
It's just a very childish view on things. The reason why they come bowing down, because they're reliant on us. And it's not in their interest, and they can't. I mean, they can posture right now, and guys like Newsom can help them, but they can't just turn around and, oh, okay, bye, U.S. We're going to go over to China. They can't do that. They rely on us.
Shot at Macron, that text message that you say something on the stage and then you send the text message and you're completely different. You know, you're sending a different message.
Right. I missed that part of it. Yeah, it was shot at Macron. Macron is, they're gonna, I promise.
Of course they're going to come around, but you know, but Gavin Newsom really pisses me off. I mean, here's a guy.
He's gonna be their nominee.
Of course he's going to be their nominee.
Which is so crazy.
Have you notice how his hair has gotten grayer?
I mean, because he's going to be the nominee.
Right. So
Look,
he needs to look a little bit seasoned.
A little seasoned, Sale Pepe.
Seasoned.
He's gonna, you know, the guy is rolling around in Davos. I mean, if you lost your home to a fire to a fucking fire, to me, it's like, it's beyond crazy, but it's just, that's their guy. He's like, I don't understand.
Billions of dollars were lost to fraud in California. You're going to start hearing about it real soon, especially from this guy opening up his mouth in Davos.
California has been destroyed under this guy. Like, destroyed.
Speaking of other looks in Davos, President Emmanuel Macron is going for
what's up with the shades?
Top Gun look.
What's up with the shades?
Top Gun. He's got aviators and he's up there speaking to a crowd. This is a president of France and he's not taking off his sunglasses.
Well, maybe his wife smacked him around.
He got some kind of eye thing, but I don't know. Maybe he got hit by somebody. Brigitte.
It's a strange look.
All right, on to some other. We're already 40 minutes into it, but
wow. Well, it's a big deal. The Greenland is a big deal.
And I told you when we were starting this.
By the way,
we're gonna have two big. Well, one big one kind of maybe long time, and then a couple little ones. So let's go to the next.
Because I have a question for you at the end, but sure. I don't know.
Here's a little topic. While everybody was concentrating on Trump building his new ballroom, secretly under the East Wing, they've been building a new secret bunker.
Really? I didn't see that.
You didn't see that? Yeah, they're spending a lot of money. This time, this is taxpayer money, and they're building a new secret bunker.
What's in the bunker?
You might have remembered seeing Dick Cheney, Vice President Dick Cheney, in the scenes in the bunker when we were striking Iraq.
Well, Trump went in the bunker too when they were attacking the White House in the Summer of Love.
Right, Summer of Love. He went down there. So they're redoing the bunker. It's going to be a state-of-the-art bunker.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Next, guess who's back?
Meanwhile, you know, it's funny too, is, you know, the Kennedy Center, it's, you know that he changed it to the Trump Kennedy Center?
Well, yeah, he said, of course.
Did you know that?
Yeah, it pissed off people.
Do you know how much that probably pisses them off?
There's a lot of people.
That's hysterical. That he's just walking around putting his name on shit is amazing.
Is it Schumer or is it Sanders that's going around and he wants to make a new law that you can't change building names? The president can't put his name on building names.
I don't know.
Sanders or Schumer? I forgot.
Probably both. No,
I mean,
they're probably losing their shit about it. The Kennedy Center thing is hysterical.
Matthew, guess who's back?
Who's back?
The most interesting man in the world. The Dos Equis man is finally back.
I love him.
And have you seen the new commercials with him?
No, I never. No.
Yeah, so he's back. So the commercials are like he got like knocked out or something, and he doesn't remember who he is, and he's living in some house, and he doesn't know. You know, it is.
Oh, it's amazing! I gotta watch this.
Amnesia, and then he peeks into the back of the refrigerator, and he sees a bottle of Dos Equis, and he grabs the Dos Equis, and he goes,
"I don't usually."
Always. And he does the line.
So good.
And then it starts coming back to him, and that's the commercial. I think it's great. They should have saved it for the Super Bowl, because I think that would have been a great Super Bowl.
You know, have they run any other ad campaigns since he took time off?
I think they have. They just never.
I don't know that I've seen.
They did try. I do remember they tried to replace him with another most interesting man.
I kind of remember that Old Spice copied And they get like that guy that campaign. They had the guy walking.
Dos Equis man went to do, I forgot, another commercial for another company.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot which company.
No, you're thinking about.
No, it was
You're thinking about you're gonna like the way you look. Today's man.
No. The
Men's
Dos Equis-
Warehouse.
Yeah, no, the Dos Equis man went and.
Why wouldn't they have saved it for the Super Bowl? I guess they didn't want to spend the money.
They probably didn't want to spend the money, but I think he was.
Meanwhile, are you going to talk about the Super Bowl?
No, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl next week.
Okay,
Not-
sure.
Not yet.
A lot going on, Boychuk.
A big congratulations to Vice President J.D. Vance.
What did he do? Oh, he's having
His
a kid.
wife, Usha Vance, is pregnant with baby boy number, not baby number 4. It's a baby boy.
He's catching up to you.
I know he's catching, and the baby is going to be born in July. Huh? Talk about happy birthday, America.
Wow. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Okay. Now for another one of these longer topics.
Mm.
I try to keep it a little bit shorter than we did with Greenland. But I got 2 things over here.
Yeah.
And you tell me which one you want to tackle first. We got Don Sour Lemon in anti-ICE protests.
Yeah.
Storming a church during service.
Dressed like a cat burglar.
Just a cat.
Did you see him?
Yeah. And then you got the FBI has subpoenaed Governor Tim Walz and your buddy Mayor Jacob Frey. Fry.
Where is Waltz? I haven't seen him in a minute.
The other day he came up and he came out and did this whole video about ICE and getting ICE out of there. And let me see if I could pull it up over here. Tim Walz ICE press conference. Is this it? Here we go.
Do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live. They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery stores, at bus stops, even at our schools.
Show me the papers.
Breaking windows, dragging pregnant women down the street.
They're dragging pregnant women down the street?
Shoving them
That
in
happened?
vans. Kidnapping innocent people with no warning and no due process.
This guy must really be desperate.
This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement. Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government. Last week, that campaign claimed the life of Renee Nicole Good. We've all watched the video. We've all seen what happened. And yet, instead of conducting an impartial investigation so we can hold accountable the officer responsible for Renee's death,
Oh, and impartial. Let's hold him accountable.
Government to finding an excuse to attack the victim and her family.
I thought we were impartial.
Federal prosecutors, including the longtime career prosecutor leading the charge to investigate and eliminate fraud in our state programs, quit their jobs rather than go along with this assault on the United States Constitution. But as bad as it's been, Donald Trump intends for it to get worse. This week, he went online to promise that, quote, the day of retribution and reckoning is coming. That's a direct threat against the people of the state who dared to vote against him 3 times.
Well, he goes on and on and on and on. And I believe somewhere along the way he wanted people to. I think they're attacking ICE or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, Tim Walz.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. And
So
he sounds more and more desperate. I would put, I think he's on like a self-harm trajectory.
what I want to know is, and this goes with Don Lemon, who is paying for all this? Because Tim Walz isn't smart enough to allegedly perpetrate all this fraud in Minnesota.
Well, I don't know.
These Somalians are definitely not smart.
Well, I look.
To do it. Half of them are all cousins.
Wait a second. I mean, if the numbers are even 50% or 80% discounted, you're talking about billions of dollars of fraud that were successful.
Who's behind it?
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, look, our the political politics is a very corrupt. The people aren't getting in. A guy like Tim Walz isn't getting into politics because he wants to go change the world. He's getting into politics to make a buck. And you know, the guy, why was he chosen? I don't look. You know, there was some reporting that he raised $35 million Kamala as part of his choice, and that's why they chose him. And then you then you see what's going on in Minnesota. I mean, it's this whole thing, like, you know, it's not too dissimilar to the Greenland thing. The same guy, Obama, Clinton, Bush, Schumer, all of these people, like the ICE existed under them. The Homeland Security thing, immigration issue, this all existed. Obama sent more people out than Trump. And Homan worked for Obama. And it's just all, you know, it's all bullshit. And this is the last remaining constituency of the Democratic Party. Who's paying for it? I don't know. You know, there's a lot of fraud. There's a lot of people. There's a lot. Who knows? But they're going into churches, and that's being called protest. You know,
They're going into churches, and Don Lemon was leading the charge.
Don Lemon was dressed like, you know, I saw this morning, and the guy's got all black on. He's running around excited, like they're going into some church. I didn't even understand what the hell was going on. Why is this guy dressed like a cat burglar?
He's dressed like a cat burglar. He's asking the people in the church.
And then he was telling,
praying
it's
in
so
the middle
bizarre.
of the service. He starts asking them questions, getting in their face, and then he's telling the guy, "Don't push me," when he's pushing the guy.
It's crazy. And then he took on Kiki Minaj.
Kiki Minaj?
You
Nicki
didn't see
Minaj.
Nicki Minaj, not
Nicki
Kiki
Minaj.
Minaj. Nicki Minaj. He took on Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj. He went after. He was very crude with her.
He was. Now, Don Lemon says that he's allowed to protest, and it's constitutional right that he's allowed to protest.
What does that mean? To go into a church and tell people to go fuck themselves? I don't even understand
That's what he thinks. But, Matthew,
Right.
Don Lemon, you know, the pretense is that he's a journalist. But he's not a journalist. We're more journalistic than he is. He doesn't even know that he broke a law. And now he's backpedaling and saying that he's basically
Look,
blaming other people.
Can
He
somebody
broke
ask
a
him
law.
why he was dressed like he was there to crack a safe? Okay, he was all black. He had the black hat on, black. The guy. It was hysterical.
No, he was wearing that because it's cold in Minnesota.
No, but it was like he looked.
cold. It was cold in Minnesota.
You remember Can't Buy Me Love with Pat Dempsey, where they're going egging, and they all dress up because they're going to go egging? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he dressed up like he was going out for a midnight run.
Door.
Right, flaming poop.
The flaming.
I'd love to.
We
They
already
should
discussed
start
about-
flaming poop
we discussed-
campaign
we
on
discussed
Waltzy.
it on the episode already. So, Matthew, real quick, he did break a law.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen to him.
Do me a favor. Go on your phone and search this up. It's called the FACE Act. And can you read what the FACE can't see me? Can you read what the FACE Act is for our listeners?
I don't know what the FACE Act. We're going to look.
Search it up.
The FACE Act. The FACE Act is a U.S. federal statute that criminalizes force, threats, or physical obstruction aimed at blocking access to reproductive health services or damaging such facilities. Health services.
And
1 second. Okay. It's not about speech beliefs. Okay. So, yeah, basically you can't block civil rights.
let me tell you what it is. The FACE Act, Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrance Act, is a 1994 U.S. federal law that makes
Yeah,
it
with
a
abortion
crime
clinics.
to use force, threats, or physical obstruction to block or interfere with people obtaining or providing reproductive health services. And here's how the Democrats pushed this law through, because it wouldn't have passed anyway. They added this line, Matthew, to make it a law. Or exercising religious freedom at places of worship. It prohibits violent or obstructive conduct like sit-ins or property damage to targeting clinics and, this is how they passed it, houses of worship, allowing for both criminal prosecution and civil lawsuits by the government or harmed parties. Enacted in response to violence against abortion providers, its enforcement remains a significant topic with debates over application. So the Democrats wanted this law, but to compromise, they added practicing religious freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you not allowed to do, Matthew? You're not allowed to walk into a mosque and protest the Muslims in a mosque. You're not allowed to go into a synagogue or temple and protest against Jews. And Don Lemon, Don Sour Lemon, or Don Lemon Law, whatever you want to call him, is not allowed to go into a church, a place where Christ is king, and disrupt.
Look, man,
the
he's an
service.
asshole. Okay, these people are all assholes, and they made 2016. They got going, and they said we're going to focus on the most easily influenced part of our society, and we're taking the guardrails off. And where are we today? We're like, they're calling immigration law Gestapo law. That's where they've gotten these people to go, and that's the mainstream of the Democratic Party. It's crazy.
It's nuts. It's nuts. So these people,
But what's sad is there's no opposition to that. There's no opposition to that.
They're running around willy-nilly in Minnesota.
Right, but there's no opposition to this. There's nobody in Congress that's doing anything about it. There's Trump is tweeting about it. Pam Bondi's not doing anything about it. Our FBI is not doing anything about it. And it's sad. I imagine there's some people in Minnesota. I told you, there must be a few sane grown-ups in Minnesota. They might be Democrats. I don't think any of those people, I don't think there's any sane people left that are Democrats. But there must be some adults that can see this for what it is. I don't know.
No,
maybe not. Maybe Minnesota is just one big crackpot.
Let me tell you something. The media has run with this, and they're causing people to believe what's going on in Minnesota is going to be happening everywhere. I was at my daughter's volleyball tournament this weekend,
yeah,
and I overheard a conversation, and I almost wanted to say something, but I just didn't want to get into the argument. It's a volleyball tournament. I didn't want to.
Nah.
So this guy is telling this other guy that his wife started driving around worried that she's going to be pulled over by ICE and asked for her papers. Well, number one, you're driving around in a car. You need to have your driver's license. And what are driver's licenses?
Could happen.
Driver's license is a paper.
No, it's racist.
Not only can ICE pull you over, but so can the police pull you over. And guess what else the police and ICE have? They have license plate readers.
Right.
So before they're pulling you over, they already know who you are. They already
or who's supposed to be in there.
Or who's supposed to be in there. And guess what else? The guy came up all the way up north to Connecticut in his car, and guess what he passed? License plate readers.
Did his kid win or no?
Hold on a second. And guess what else happened at the tournament?
What happened?
They asked him and his wife for their papers. Do you know why?
Who's they?
The people that are working the tournament.
Okay. Where was the tournament? In Jersey?
Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, in Connecticut. Okay.
Yeah. Guess what they asked them for? Their papers. Their driver's license. Why?
Tell me.
Because in order to gain access to the tournament, you have to show your driver's license to make sure that it matches up with the ticket that you purchased, that you're the same person.
They didn't.
But it wasn't ICE. It was the tournament organizers. And everybody had to do it. So this whole thing about ICE pulling people over and asking them for their papers is nonsense that they picked up from the media, and it's telling people that, they're scared that ICE is going to pull them over. And you know what? So ICE is going to pull you over. They're going to pull somebody over, and they're going to ask them, "Can I see your driver's license?" And you're going to give them your driver's license. And if you're safe, you're not getting arrested. You're not going away to another country, especially when you were born here.
It's it's an insane moving of the goalposts that they were able to do. I don't know how to, because it's such a crazy, you would think that when The View was getting this conversation ready and they kick it upstairs, what are you going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about how the enforcement of immigration law is actual Nazi statecraft. You would think that would be DOA, but that's where the moderates are today. I mean, it's a nuts. You have the same people saying that that we, no matter what, we need to stay. We need to be completely on our knees to NATO. It's like conversation level has gotten so stupid out there. It's crazy.
The people in Minnesota are obstructing ICE from arresting pedophiles and criminals and justifying it.
Yeah, but you see, it's like they are. But you see, the problem is when that also plays into it, because it's, by the way, them being here illegally is a crime. They don't only have to get, hopefully they get them all that are pedophiles and rapists and murderers. But if people are there illegally, it was never considered to be an act of Nazism. As recently as 5 years ago, it wasn't.
Let me ask you a question. Barack Obama, when he was president,
he gave the Medal of Freedom or something to Tom Homan. He worked for him, and he kicked more illegals out than Trump. Yeah.
okay.
It doesn't matter. The game, you do, none of it matters because, for example, Obama could come out and say that, right? He could come out and say, this is not sensible, people. You know, let's pick another fight. But
I was doing
this is where they're focusing. And, you know, Tim Walz, it'll be interesting. He's either the kind of guy that they're going to just shake loose and he goes to jail or commits, you know, self-harm or something because he's such a dummy and, like, you know, the stuff he's saying is so beyond the pale. But in 2020, he sat by when they burnt down the police station. And then they gave him the vice president's nomination. So, you know, I mean, they want violence right now. They're stoking it very, very aggressively on very, very stupid things.
Do you remember Rob Blagojevich of Illinois?
Yeah, the nuke.
Rob Blagojevich. So Barack Obama
Threw him in jail.
threw him in jail, and then later on, if you remember, Donald Trump
Yeah, bailed him out.
not bailed him
Community
out.
sentence. Community
Community
sentence.
sentence. So he went to jail basically for he was impeached. He was the governor of Illinois, okay? He
Mhm.
was impeached and removed for trying to sell Barack Obama's Senate seat and other corruption. Okay?
Mhm.
He was helping steer contracts. There's a lot of stuff that he was doing. He was pardoned by Trump after he served some prison time. But Barack Obama went after him, okay?
They put him in real.
Real jail.
He was in real jail.
Nobody made a peep. They didn't say, "Oh, he was weaponizing the government" or anything. I don't even know. I don't remember the proof. If they
He gave a great interview to Joe Rogan that I listened to last year.
did he shed some light on it?
Oh yeah, it's really. I think you listen. I sent it to you back then. I mean, you know, it was back then. It was, you know, Trump had won. He wasn't in office yet. Remember, it was only he was saying, like, when they want to come after you, you're you know, you don't have a shot. And he talked about, look, it's his perspective. Okay, he was you know, it was politics. It was his perspective. They were bargaining over the seat as it in his version. They didn't, you know, he didn't get to present his case in a clean way, is what he outlined on Joe Rogan. You know, and he kind of described it as kind of, you know, ugly politics, but not illegal. And, you know, the standard that was applied to him was very harsh because it wasn't, he was basically, they were pressuring in Obama's person and, you know, that was it.
Right. So he probably didn't do anything different than any other politician or governor when a senator needs to be replaced, right?
I mean, he tells a good story.
Yeah. So listen to that. But what I'm saying is, I do see Tim Walz, the governor, probably going to jail for fraud.
I don't know. Under Trump, they can't hand out a fucking parking ticket. You know, so I don't know.
I do see them possibly waiting until after midterms.
And you said it. Well, then after midterms, it's a wrap.
No,
If Trump.
I think that they hold up because listen, the midterms, whatever happens in the midterms, has nothing to do with a case for the governor.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. Yeah,
and even if they lose Congress or the Senate, which I don't think they'll lose the Senate, I think maybe they'll lose Congress. But I think he'll wait, because if he starts going after people and politicians and arresting them, then I think that gives more fuel to the Democrats. Make them look bad in the midterms.
What happens, though, you got to remember this particular governor was chosen to be vice president nominee. I would imagine that he actually has awareness of certain things. And I'm sure at some level the conversation is, what are you kidding me? I mean, Kamala just bought an $8 million home. You know, she was, what was she? Who bought her book? I mean, have you come across anybody that's quoting her book to you?
Yeah, I have.
Really? Who? Who are you hanging out with?
I heard that she was on a book tour in Memphis.
Anyway, okay, so you know a few people that have bought her book. I don't know that, I mean,
I don't know anybody that's bought her book.
all I'm telling you is,
I wouldn't even buy her book as a paperweight.
look, we had Doge, okay? And Doge had a pretty, like, you know, that's another thing. Like Elon Musk walking around saying there's a lot of fraud. They were showing things. It was very sloppy the way it was done. They didn't, you know, but I don't think there was a neat way to do it when they're organizing and saying that doing it is, that was, by the way, that was also Gestapo. Remember, they were calling Elon Musk Hitler because he wanted to go after the fraud. So you're a Nazi if you're immigration laws, Nazi. Fraud, Nazi. You know, so my point is that, you know, nobody in Washington really wants the Minnesota stuff getting dug up. And I think, you know, I mean, if you look at Tim Walz, he looks like he's lost 30, 40, 50 pounds. He doesn't look well. Does he have enough balls to be like, you know, I'll take everybody down with me? He won't be able to, but nobody really wants anything. My man, they were calling Elon Musk a Nazi because he was trying to, you know, talking about fraud. I think there's an institutional.
What's bad is good.
Well, I think it's not a Democrat-Republican thing. I think that nobody in Washington wants the fraud stuff under the microscope.
No, because everybody's doing it.
They're not going there unless they're making money.
Right, both sides. You're not going.
Yeah.
You're not going to Washington D.C. unless.
So I don't think right.
Allegedly.
And I don't. You know, I mean, so I don't think that that's going to get. I'm skeptical that that'll come. You know, and it's a sad way to look at it. I'd rather have a little bit more faith, but I don't.
Yeah, well, my faith has gone out the window on a lot of these things, you know. And on that note, we have wrapped it up, and we will see you next week. Again, tell your friends, Citizen Outbreak.
Listen,
buy the game, citizenoutbreak.com, and on Amazon.
That's right.
You can see us on YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple.
That's right.
And our TikTok is Citizen
Outbreak. Citizen Outbreak's everywhere.
Citizen Outbreak's everywhere. Look at the hat I'm wearing today. It's a white version of the black one that I normally wear with our little guy, and he's running.
Dope hat. I almost wore my hat.
And he's running. He's running. You know why he's running?
Well, yeah, he's running to get some toilet paper and what was the hand sanitizer?
Hand sanitizer before they sell out.
What was it called? The hand sanitizer?
Hand sanitizer.
No, but what's the one? Remember the one that smelled like vanilla because they ran out of the.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember one smelling like vanilla. They all smelled like alcohol.
God, I couldn't.
Lysol.
It's really.
Spray
I mean,
Lysol.
You know, that's what's happening right now.
Everybody's running for toilet paper?
These people will do whatever. I mean, you look at who's running into that church. I mean, did you see what Don Lemon dressed up as to go into that church?
Listen, the world is mad.
He's wearing all black. He's wearing all black. He's hopping around. Like he's jumping around from snowbank to snowbank. The fact that he's a grown-up. The guy's worth millions of dollars. He's he's a lunatic.
But he doesn't work for anybody anymore. CNN fired him.
My point is, I think
for clicks.
Here's my point. I think he's an actual believer. Okay, like I think Chris Cuomo is a bad.
I don't think so.
Oh no, I actually believe. I believe that Don Lemon actually, like, you know, he believes this stuff, and there's a lot of these people. I think Chris Cuomo.
Certain people that like Chris Cuomo or Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson that will say these outrageous things now for clicks. And I think that Don Lemon is now one of those people because he
Well,
he
they
does
all do that.
man on the street thing where he's walking up to people and people are like, "Fuck you, Don Lemon."
Candace Owens is you ever played Grand Theft Auto or any video game where you have 3 lives, but you had the cheat code and then like, you know that you're not going to win anymore. So you just go off and stay alive, blowing everything up as long as you can. That's where Candace Owens is, right? She went beyond, like she linked up to Kanye. She was cool because she was really credible on the whole race relation thing. You know, she's running around with Kanye. She's got her little Blexit going. Then Kanye turns around, he's doing Zig Heil, and she's like, oh shit. But she stayed out there, and there's an audience for it. And now it's like the stuff that she says, some of it's it's just crazy. And Tucker's out there too. I don't really, Tucker
Right,
is
the
like,
reason why they're out there is because they're getting some kind of clicks from some kind of
no, but
audience.
that's the
And
only thing left for
That's
them.
what Don Lemon is trying to do. He's trying to go for that extreme audience, and he's going into churches and he's doing all this crazy stuff, hoping that he's going to get clicks. And guess what? Now people are like, "Oh, Don Lemon did this. Don Lemon did that."
But you know, unlike I don't know Candace Owens well. I but based on the way she was, also I don't know what it's like to become a very famous person that's going up to Congress. I imagine it messes with your wiring. They have a different, reality. But I remember Don Lemon talking about this crazy stuff when he was at CNN in a different kind of way. Like, look, Chris Cuomo was caught, allegedly caught faking, coming up the staircase. He used to get into fights with people. Like, he's kind of, you would see, and now the way that he talks on Patrick McDavid, he definitely probably always had a view like, okay, let's go, we're going to go tell him about the COVID thing. Okay. Whereas I think this other guy is a little bit dumber than Chris Cuomo is I guess all I'm saying. They're all bad people. But from my vantage point, they're all dishonest and, harming the world. But Don Lemon's running around. You got to see him in this old black. I thought he was like robbing something when I woke up and I see that I thought he's like, it looks like he's going into like to call it, which he was. He was going into to harass churchgoers. It's crazy.
Karma's going to get
I
him.
don't think Chris Cuomo would do that, is my point.
I don't think. No, Chris Cuomo would not do that.
That's the difference. I don't think
Like,
Chris Cuomo.
this guy is trying hard. He's trying hard.
Yes, I mean, I get what you're saying, and yes, like because he's really just trying to grab onto something.
Yeah, and he can't. He's just terrible.
He should link up with Newsom. Knee pad, everything that Newsom was talking about.
Yeah. All right. We got to run. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.